Advancements in technology are changing the face of healthcare and creating opportunities for entrepreneurship across the world. At the forefront of this transformation are companies led by medical professionals that are embracing innovation and making important contributions to fields like consulting, patient experience, and telemedicine. At MediCircle, we present to you the top CEOs of healthcare series, where we are featuring healthcare CEOs who are influential role models to share their views about the future of healthcare industry. Hi, I'm Smita Kumar, your host, and today our guest for the talk is Dr. Sandeep Srivastav. Dr. Sandeep Srivastav is the CEO of hospitals like Acharya Vinoba Bhave Rural Hospital and Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Sciences, Wardha. He is a professor of orthopedics in the field of regenerative medicine. He has pioneered the wound management with PRP by developing the clinical protocol of Sandeep's technique for assisted regeneration of skin, stars therapy. His work is widely published and presented across the world. Hello, Dr. Sandeep. Welcome to the Top CEO series at MediCircle.
Very good afternoon, Smita, and it's my great pleasure to be here with you. And I look forward to spending a very nice afternoon with you.
We are extremely privileged to have you with us, Dr. Sandeep. So to begin with this round, let me ask you, there are like three major challenges of the healthcare industry with affordability, availability, and accessibility. What, according to you, is the solution to eradicate these issues?
Well, as you have very truly said, today's biggest challenge towards adequate delivery of healthcare are all those three: affordability, availability, and accessibility. But if you ask me how to eradicate all those challenges, let me fill up the honest answer. There is no perfect solution to it.
Yes.
Each is a different challenge, and each has come up due to certain different reasons, right? So let us try to understand one by one what is happening. Let us take the first one, that is affordability. The key reasons for escalation in cost of healthcare, right, which is directly affecting the affordability of the healthcare to the patients or other stakeholders, includes both the clinical scenario and the non-clinical scenarios.
Okay.
Why I'm saying so, that clinical scenario is also responsible because if you have realized in recent times, our clinical practices have moved more towards evidence-based medicine practices,
Yes.
right? Now, evidence-based medicine practices directly translates into standard operating protocols. So even if I feel as a doctor that I can do away with certain investigations, I'm not allowed to do it.
Yes, that is.
And this is a problem. Though it has improved the outcome and predictability, but it has increased the affordable cost of things also.
Yes, that is.
Now, a lot of things are built upon artificial intelligence, technology like your central labs, etc. And they both are not cheap. They are so costly. Though they are again safeguarding more interests of patients, but they are again coming at a very high cost. Many interventions now require latest drugs, and those later drugs, due to patent issues, are again highly priced. We all know those things. So those are the clinical intricacies which are driving the cost. And then there are like non-clinical intricacies. A very simple financial intricacy I would like to tell you over here is, see, a poor affordability is all in the mindset, for the mindset of poor. The poor should get adequate healthcare, right? Now, how we do it? It is mostly through the public fundings. Public fundings indirectly translates into insurances today. Now, do you think that involvement of a third party like insurance has made the cost of health a little bit cheaper? No. Rather, more involvement of third parties, the more is the cost. So it may look cheaper to the patient or free of cost to the patient, but at the back end, it has tremendously increased the cost. So unless until we understand this, I don't think so we can build up the solution to it. With that, problems in mindset, which are very like sort of a crux of problems or tip of icebergs. There are a lot of things which are below it. What we can do together for building a solution, perhaps, Smita, is build a system which has a trust in the center. Instead of doubting each other and then getting some more investigation to do and increasing the cost. I think so few things, let us keep it simple. Let us build a trust, and level 1, level 2 care should be less based on investigation, evidence based. Let it be what it was on clinical acumens. This will curtail the cost of treatment to a reasonable aspect. I'm not saying that put up as a threat to the patient, but all those things which can be dealt very nicely with a good clinical judgment should be allowed to go like that. Right? Second is public healthcare system has to become robust. There is no answer to it. You cannot ask a private healthcare system to give a free of cost treatments or subsidized treatment. If they do so, it will come at some compromise or something which will go behind the backs of patients, which is not good doings. So public healthcare system has to remain robust, and most of the countries which are vouching for good healthcare, particularly European countries such as Denmark, Switzerland, even for that matter, US and UK, have a robust public healthcare system. Very good public healthcare system. Unfortunately, despite our having a good structured public health system from PSCs to medical colleges, things are not spread out, or they have not come out as a way the government would have liked it to come. And there are different reasons for that also. There has to be created a leverage for new hospitals, special health zones, as well as special economic zones. I think so the government should take it very seriously after COVID pandemic, that we should create special health zones and give a leverage to newcomers or entrepreneurs, particularly in terms of some land benefits, some tax benefits, etc. That might help the cost or affordability of cost to get curtailed to a certain extent and bring it to ambit of common man. And that is what the purpose is, adequacy of healthcare. Overall, I think so there is also need to control the drug pricing. Every hospital bill, if you see, has got around 40% of bill weightage going to drugs. Yes. And I think so there is a scope to it also. Though we had been saying, government has been saying use generic drug, I think so there is a availability and quality, both are questionable in the mindset of both doctors as well as public also. Yes. So a little bit of those things have to be taken care of, that a good quality of drugs reaches directly to the hospital. So if you can do away with supply chains, certain things, it reaches directly to the hospital, perhaps drug costs would also go a little bit down. All this together make a difference to the healthcare by making it at least cheaper by 30 to 40%, which is huge if you see. So those are, I think so, problems and certain solutions towards affordability. So the second question was, yeah, please.
So we have seen a lot of changes in the way healthcare industry works before COVID and now post-COVID. A lot of digitalization is happening, online consultations is happening, it has been legalized. Earlier, it was not legalized. So a lot of things have been changing. What, according to you, would be the future of healthcare?
Regarding, as you had initiated the question with availability and accessibility, improvement in both of these things will be required for us to be efficient and effective, right? Now, availability of healthcare manpower resources is like minuscule. If we compare with those developed worlds, we have just one manpower against their 10. That includes both doctors as well as nurses. So we need to build a system where we can get a cheaper healthcare workers, and perhaps in a country which is rich on human resources, a lot of courses which are based for paramedical building should be taken up. And local natives of those areas can be very well trained. Just like what example I can give you, because I am surrounded by a lot of national parks, and whenever I go there, I find that every time the forest guards are those, they have trained the girls around their villages to be forest guards. Okay. And it helps both of them, the forest to preserve and the employment is there. Yes. It's such a beautiful solution. So I think so that this type of small solutions can matter very much in healthcare also, right? And accessibility, I think so. Like we have failed in our plans to get a structured accessibility from PSC to medical college. We need to rebuild it. We need to rebuild it with a good pre-hospital systems, ambulance. Now Maharashtra has set up a very good example in this case. You are aware, 108 yes. is now such a popular number that accessibility to healthcare, particularly in emergency situations, is now driven by 108, just like 911. And country can take a leaf out of this experience and build a better accessibility to it. Somehow, COVID has also taught us one great thing. We cannot build a hospitals away from the homes, right? Not too far off. At times, like in this pandemic also, we need care just next to our homes. So we should try to build small hospitals in the big towns also, metros also, which can take care of maternal care, maybe just obstetrical care, normal deliveries, simple pediatric care, and home isolation care. Now, you see, one of the reasons which I have analyzed and found why we could not prevent second wave was we allowed home care too early. Our country, the homes are not infrastructure built to isolate a person. We cannot. They share the bathrooms, they share the kitchens. Not only this, our mindsets are not like this to live isolatedly till we are forced to live in isolation.
True.
So there is one thing which we have like sort of made a mistake. I will not say exactly a mistake, but could have corrected if there would have been a hospital next to my home. A small hospital, maybe 10 bed, 20 bed, a sort of a mohalla hospital type of thing.
Yes, definitely.
And that will, COVID will drive this to happen. I'm sure about this. A lot of private persons will take now this advantage to be there. So family care needs to be strengthened as the COVID is changing. As you rightly said, teleconsultations are next big drive. And a lot of things should go and would go by teleconsultations. That is going like online education.
Sure.
It's a safe way of communicating. But then regulation should allow this with intentions that nobody, neither the public should get vulnerable to this teleconsultation, nor doctor should feel a vulnerability to it. It's important, right? Fortunately, in teleconsultations, evidence can be generated very easily, like you can record everything. So it's very simple. Wellness will get a boost. Till now, people were not so much worried about the wellness part of health. I'm sure now the wellness will get a lot of boost to take care of their health. So those are another things. And then, critical illness care has to be more focused upon. So we were needed to build up beds with oxygen pipes or oxygen around. This is not good. We should have planned it because a hospital bed is not a simple bed. It was supposed to come with oxygen all the time, isn't it? And similarly, for critical illnesses, ICU, we were needed to make ventilators, and I saw so many of innovations coming up to design a ventilator. Perhaps it was too late, but perhaps it is not too late also now.
Definitely.
Lot of things are anticipated, and these viruses-based diseases are not going to go away. As there were a decade or century of bacterial diseases, in 28th century, 21st viral diseases are going to stay. There is no way these will go back. So we have to prepare ourselves for those lifestyles. And fortunately, one thing good which COVID will be doing for healthcare is opening up a lot of career options. So all those youngsters who had any query that healthcare cannot be a career option, today healthcare is the largest industry. Understand this. It needs personals from every corner, not simply a doctor, but pharmacists, clinical trial persons, researchers, IT persons, and whom whatnot, financials, economic managers, everything. So it's going to be grow bigger only.
Sure.
COVID has refocused on the right priority, I would say, to cut it short.
So like even our neighborhood doctors and neighborhood clinics and diagnostic centers shall provide better features and facilities. So even a patient would be opting for them. Like earlier, we always used to go to the GP who was like next to our home. And that was the best culture to have, like in other developed countries also. Unless and until there is a severe ailment or they don't approach bigger hospitals or big public hospitals. So that is the way it should be built.
And you see, if you see the trend now, there's chain of or network of such diagnostic labs and hospitals evolving. That's a good sign. That saves on the time. Patient can take the care 24/7. They don't have to wait for something to mishappen and then go to the doctors. The best thing as far as affordability is concerned is to detect a disease very early. That saves everything, everything. And this will help in a lot of ways.
So, Dr. Sandeep, you have spent quite a lot of time in healthcare. So, how has your experience been in this industry?
Uh, See, it's almost like more than 35 years I am a doctor now. Uh, I started my career after being trained as an orthopedic surgeon. I did my MS in orthopedics, then did my DNB in orthopedics. And for almost 2 decades long, I was more or less doing orthopedic practices in different locations, including in South India at Manipal, in North India, and then at my parent institute, GR Medical College, Gwalior, and since last 2 decades over here in central of India. So got a mix of all the experiences, how the healthcare is imparted across India first time. But since 1999, Smita, I am here at DIMS. This is a very peculiar place. It has a huge challenges, all those challenges which you said before. It's situated something around 70 kilometers away from that central of India, but then still it is not a very resource rich place. You see, we have a place called Yavatmal, which has got the largest suicidal rate for farmers. It's very bad economically over here. But then still we try to provide all healthcare to this population. How do we manage this? We have health cards, we give subsidized care, and best thing is our management, which is run by the Pro-Chancellor, by the Chancellor Shri Dattaji Meghe. He has done wonders over here by opening up a medical college in a village, and that too 30 years back. Otherwise, persons like me would have never come over here.
Definitely.
There is no opportunity, right? So it had been a good pleasure working over in these situations. But then I would say I was also dean of this medical school for around 7 years. And since 4 years, I am CEO. One thing which has never changed, one question which has never changed, and which is the most challenging, for which I have yet to find a perfect answer, is a farmer coming, a young farmer in his 30s, mid 30s, coming with 2 daughters, 8 years, 10 years, and a wife, for treatment of his mother who has a fracture. Mother who is 80 years old, and she needs operation. And they usually will look into my eyes and ask me one question, Smita, sir, ये बताइए आप, मैं अपना लैंड बेच दूं तो मेरी मदर के लिए पैसे ले आओ तो ठीक हो जाएगी क्या? Now, there is no perfect answer to it. I see there is a past, present, and future all standing in my front of me. If I look at their daughters, if we sells the land, their all future is gone, isn't it? And she's an old lady, and he's the only child. What do I say about this? I mean, this is the biggest challenge with healthcare workers like us face every day for almost nearly more than 50% of time. You are located in Mumbai, but I don't think so. This problem is not there.
It's everywhere.
Many times, doctor faces dilemma so often, and there's no perfect answer to it. No perfect answer to it. That is what my journey is. We are still struggling to find out all those things, working to adopt technology. I have made a sort of a Priel is one of the apps which I made around in 2007 for safety of females.
Oh, that's
At
great.
that time, it was one of the most popular app. You can download it. It had bars, and you just press that bar, and this help comes to you.
Oh, wow. That's
So
great.
from those incorporation of those technologies throughout these 20 years to latest robotic surgeries, where I'm really wanting to train myself further up, to establishing school of virtual learning, to working with regenerative medicine, as you said, in PRP, etc. I think so life is very exciting for a doctor.
Sure.
It's ever evolving.
And for a person like you who like always learning and having an app at the age, I mean, in 2007, I think that is really, really cool to have. And you are still learning good and new technologies. That is really good to know.
I did my PhD in medical education when I was dean.
Oh, okay.
And now I am doing my MBA also. When I am
Yeah.
CEO.
So many.
That's a fun part of life.
Yes. So you keep on learning. That's really inspiring.
You have to. You तमाशा घुस के देखने में मजा है स्मिता, otherwise कुछ नहीं.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
Till you don't, you are not well trained,
keep
you
on
do not
learning.
know the things, intricacies, you will never be able to find good solutions.
Definitely. So ये बहुत ही अच्छा मैसेज है डॉक्टर संदीप ने दिया है those to all of them who are actually listening to this video that learning should never stop and you should always
Yes.
keep on learning, knowing the intricacies, and then only you can offer a better solution to the challenge or to the problem. Just knowing from outside won't be solving any purpose. So that's really good to know from Dr. Sandeep. So Dr. Sandeep, एक आखिरी सवाल आपसे कि इंडिया जिस तरह से स्पेंड कर रही है, इंडिया द वे इट्स स्पेंडिंग ऑन इट्स हेल्थ केयर, आपको क्या लगता है, इज इट हाई टाइम इंडिया generously spend करे हेल्थ केयर पे like other developed countries? Today's our spending is around 3.6% of the GDP. So what is, according to you, should we be spending more, or is it okay?
I would say it's not generous at all. Even if you could manage to adequately spend, it would be good. See, in 2014, when we were spending around 1.2 or 1.4, and it took us 5 years to go to 1.6. And suddenly then a COVID pandemic comes and we are ready to spend 3.2. I think so it's a matter of priority, Smita. Government should seriously think for its citizens that what is the priority and what is enough. Percentage, yes, it is important to convert everything in percentage, but whatever it takes to build advocacy is more important. And some of my calculation says at least we will need, and I think so like VK Paul said it very well, you will need 8% of spending for adequate healthcare in India. Yes. So even if you don't go to 10 double figures like America 15% or Denmark 14%, it's important that we allocate enough money so that the few parameters we have to understand how we build, we do not know right now, but we should. So that for every 10,000 population, you have at least 50 doctors, 150 nurses, and 100 beds.
Sure.
A good spending, a KPI would be to watch on your infant mortality rate. I am always a slight embarrassed when IMR is talked about of India. It is about 25% more. We should be in single digits by now. At least we should aim for a single digit in next 5-7 years.
Definitely.
Unless until that happens, we should not stop spending.
Surely.
And I'm sure like priorities are getting set up rightly now. And 3.6 or 3.2 is still far away. We have to double it up.
Surely. So thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep, for sharing the significant information about the healthcare environment with our viewers today. I think your story is really inspiring, the way when you launched an app and it was so useful even at that time, and you keep on learning. That is the best lesson all these youngsters who are watching this video can take from you, because learning never stops and you must be learning the intricacies and exactly the technologies which is happening. Even if you're trying to make a career in healthcare, you should be deeply involved in all the technologies and the things which are happening on a daily basis. So it's really inspiring, whatever valuable insights you shared with us. Thanks once again for joining.
Thank you so much, Smita. I would like to end with a message to youngsters. What my father said to me: no study is a waste, right? So with that message, I would end and say namaste to you all. Thank you so much. It had been nice talking to you. Bye-bye. Very nice day.